Hey, this is Mrs. Meckins, and this is our last lesson series. And for the first several skills we worked on, we really learned about our reading voice and our thinking voice and how they talk to each other. We've learned that we need to read a text, take note of the author details, and think about them. And we've really gotten better at listening to our thinking voice and all of the different thoughts that it has. Now, in this lesson, though, I want us to consider the fact that readers sometimes read multiple texts. They don't just read one text and they're done. A lot of times they'll read more than one text. Maybe they want to do a research paper. And so you don't get all your information from one source. You want to read multiple texts, deepen your understanding, combine and synthesize information to really learn a lot about a new topic. Another reason you might read multiple texts is because you're going to evaluate. You're going to write a review, see which one is stronger. And so that's a different reason you might read more than one text at the same time. In this lesson series, what I want to focus in on is reading multiple texts, but in order to compare them. Now, you can compare two texts to top or three or four texts or topics. We're going to really take our time and look at comparing two different texts. Okay, so all of the work so far in all of our previous lessons was about reading details, collecting, adding our thoughts for a single text. We'll call it text A. But now what I want to do is focus in on the idea that readers collect details from multiple texts. And so I'm going to add up there that we also have to do the same thing. Read, understand, comprehend a second text, a second topic, B, right? Text or topic B. So let me add that one up here to our list, our anchor chart as well. And that's important to take note of, is that it's two separate steps, that this is a process. So you want to read and think all about the first text or topic before you read and think about the second one. You want to make sure you're not like read a page of this and a page of this and a page of this and a page of this, because comprehension is the goal. You have to really understand each text or topic individually before you can do any comparing of the information. Okay, so don't try to cheat the system here and watch a few minutes of the video and then a few minutes of this video and a few minutes of this video and a few minutes of the no. All of one and then all of the other, and then the real work of comparison begins, which is one of the things I want you to know about comparative thinking, whether you're comparing texts or topics, is it's really an after reading skill. You're really going to do the bulk of the work after you've read all of one, read all of the second. Now you start looking for similarities and differences. Now you really focus in on the comparison. Okay, now when I say comparative thinking or compare contrast, some of us immediately start thinking about the Venn diagram. And I want to kind of put the kibosh on the Venn diagram for readers and writers. I think it has a place. I think it works great for mathematicians and finding common factors. I don't think it works great for readers and writers. And here's why. If we look at how this is supposed to work, right? Text or topic B or text or topic A details go here and B go here and similarities go here. So you're reading and taking notes, right? Sometimes readers take notes. And so while you're reading text A, you're jotting down key facts with your reading voice. Your thinking voice says, ooh, it means this. So you're adding in your thoughts next to those facts and details, and you're listing all of those. Then when you finish reading all of text A, right, then you read and collect details all about text B or topic B. Again, collecting facts, key vocab, what's important. You're making note of these. And your thinking voice might be adding in little meaning-making, understanding phrases next to those details. Now, we've learned that when you're done with this, then you start to look and say, oh, this topic has this, and so does this topic. Or if it was two texts, this text said this, and this text said it too. And so you put similarities in the middle. And this is working okay up until this point. But you know your language arts teacher is going to ask you to write a paragraph or an essay comparing and contrasting these two texts or topics or whatever. So I'm wondering, what's your organization? Tell me how you're going to organize your paragraphs. Yeah, that's the problem. The problem with the Venn is it It just catches all your details. That's all it does. It separates, but it doesn't actually organize. And that's where I want to introduce you to the T chart, or what some people call the H chart. This is what readers and writers use whenever they're trying to compare texts or topics. You still have text or topic A here, okay? You still have text or topic B details here. That's exactly the same. Left side, right side. But the difference is how we use the middle. The middle in the T chart is the secret weapon. It's the secret ingredient. It's also step 3 in the comparative process. It's how you're going to group the information. Remember when I asked you about the Venn? How would you go about writing this? What would your paragraphs be? What would your organization be? This is where a lot of us get lost. And it's why I love the T chart so much, because it's going to help us answer the question of organization. You want to know what my paragraphs are going to be for these comparison of topic A to topic B? Well, it's going to be, I'm going to look at both of them for this category, this facet, this component, this story element. And so I'm looking for groupings. I'm looking for categories. That's what goes in the middle. Now, when I read all of text A, I collect all of my details for text A. And as I'm collecting details, just like I did here, and I'm collecting those details and adding in my thoughts, I'm organizing them by this category. And I put them adjacent to it. And remember, I do all of text A. So then I keep reading text A. I collect more details and thoughts, and I put them here. I collect, then I forget about text A, right? Step 2 is all B, right? It's all about text or topic B. So I forget about A, and now I'm reading all about text B or topic B. I'm collecting details, but I'm organizing them into this category. And again, I'm collecting more and more information that I'm learning, and I group it by this category. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to my question, and I'm going to say, now if you actually had to write a 5-paragraph essay, or if you had to write a couple paragraphs comparing these two texts or topics, do you see how you have common information side by side? Yeah, you have built-in organization. That's what these lines do. The rows create organization. The vertical separates information A from B, but the horizontal lines create paragraph organization. They help you better understand. They help you better see when you said something here and didn't give a parallel detail on the other side. Here, you put a fact here and the parallel is way down here, but you don't even know it. Here, you put this detail and the parallel, which is different. It's not a similarity, so you can't put it in the middle. It's a different fact, but it's parallel in information. Type of information is way up here. This one, you didn't even remember, you didn't even give information. You don't even know where your holes are. That's why I love the organization of a teacher. This is what readers use. Okay, so now let me show you how it works, and let me use a topic that I'm very familiar in, because that's the first thing you have to really understand about comparative thinking, is you can't do any of the after reading comparison thinking until you've really just drilled down topic or text A by itself, and then text or topic B by itself. So I got to do something I know a lot about, so I'm going with chips. All right, Miss Meckins knows a lot about potato chips, so I'm going to go with chips. I'm going to compare bagged Lay's potato chips to Pringles. Okay, so using the T chart you see there on your screen, now I want to think about my categories or my groupings, right? Boom, how am I going to put these details together? That's what was missing from this. There's no categories. It's just thrown up there, all right? Haphazard, helter-skelter. So if I look at the categories of ingredients and cooking, if I look at the categories of physical description, flavor, and taste, this is how I want to collect all of my details. All right, so now I go after just text or topic A. I do that first. Bag chips for those categories. And I might say things like, I know bag chips are made from potatoes, okay, real potatoes, sliced, dropped in oil. They come in different sizes and shapes. They come in a bag. They come in different flavors. And they're kind of greasy on your hands, right? And it's hard to keep them fresh because unless you roll the bag tight, a lot of air gets in there. Okay, so that was text and topic A. Okay, now whether I'm reading or just pulling on background knowledge, now I want to do text or topic B. So that's Pringles. And I totally dismiss everything I know about A. I just now look at B. All right. And I do the same thing with those groupings or categories. Okay. Pringles are not potato chips. They're potato crisp. They're not allowed to call them potato chips because they're not made from real potatoes. They're made from potato flakes. They add salt and seasoning. They roll out the dough and kind of cookie cutter it with the Pringles shape. That's why they all look the same. Ooh, how do they look? They all look the same shape, same size, same everything, and they're in a canister. How do they taste? Delicious. They satisfy my salty craving, and they come in that canister, and they have a lid on it so they stay fresh longer, I think. And they don't leave a greasy texture. They taste greasy, which is good, but they don't leave grease on my fingers in most cases. Okay, so now at this point, most of us would think we're done. Okay, because Mrs. Meckins, I looked at A and I looked at B, and now I'm done. Now I can compare them. No. You have missed a huge component to comparative thinking. And it's what's supposed to happen after you do text A, text B, or topic A, topic B lists. Look closely at each row and realize that all you've done is make a list of differences, which is normal. It's normal when you think just about item A, you really zoom in on how it's different, what makes it unique from anything else. And then B, same thing, what makes it unique, what qualities are different than anything else, differences. But it's easy to see how two different things are different. You guys, come on, that's the easy part. You know what the hard part is? After you've done those two columns, is to really start thinking about how are two different things similar. That's the work you're missing. And that's why I love the rows, because now I'm going to read row by row and I'm looking for similarities. Now, as I look for similarities, I'm going to define what a similarity is. Okay. How do you recognize it? How do you add it? So looking at this, I want to whittle it down and stop looking at all of it. Okay. The tic-tac-toe board and all of those squares. Now I just want to look row by row, because comparison implies you're going to look across. We were looking vertically. Now we look row by row. So one row at a time, I'm going to look and I'm going to see if I can't discover some similarities. Okay. All of this is after reading thinking. So I said made from potatoes. They're actually sliced potatoes. Okay. Crisps, potato flakes. Okay. It's parallel information side by side, but it's differences. And I can't change that. That's just the facts. Okay. Sliced potatoes, fried in oil. That's what the bag chip says. Okay. And Pringles are fried in oil too. Oh, wait, I didn't say that about the Pringles. I didn't say they were fried in oil. I could add that. Do you see how when you look on one side for a bullet, you want to look for the parallel? And if you realize I didn't even reference that same type of information on the other side, you can add it. Now, sometimes when you add it, it's different information, which is fine. But sometimes it's like fried in oil. That is a similarity between how these two chips and crisps are cooked. I could add it. I also take note that under Pringles, I have salt and seasonings are added. And I didn't say anything about that in the bag chips. And again, I know they add salt and seasoning. So do you see how I can look for holes? If I have a bullet on one side, do I have a counterpart or parallel on the other? And it might be a different fact, so it didn't help me with similarities, but it's evening it out. That's good. Okay, but it often does help you with similarities. So I could add those details. Okay, so now let me look in the second row. So I see random sizes and shapes, okay, for bag chips, and I see they come in a bag. Okay, Pringles, they're all the same shape, and they come in a canister. Okay, here's what I want you to see, is that I have parallel information. I haven't said something on one side and not on the other, but the parallel information is different for both. So now what do? Okay, this is when you do the hard after thinking work. This is when you say, okay, well, what else do you know about the category? How do they look? Think of more descriptive. What does it look like? Bag chips, Pringles. Well, they're both yellow. I mean, if you're looking at original flavoring, they're both yellow. Well, wait a minute. That's not true. The bag chips can have burnt spots and green spots and even bubbles, but they're mostly yellow. That's a similarity. Do you see the difference between same and similarity? Fried in oil. That is a same, which is great. But there will be some times you can add details for both sides, but it's not exact same. It's similarity. It's mostly. the same. They're both mostly yellow. The Pringles are all yellow. The bag chips are mostly yellow. I could add that. Okay, what's something else in terms of how they look? I'm thinking about that bag chip and it's different sizes and shapes, and some of the shapes are crumbs. So the bag chips have crumbs. You know what? The Pringles eventually have crumbs too at the bottom of the canister. Right? And those are crumbs. I could add crumbs. And that's a similarity between both. See what I'm doing here? So comparative thinking happens after reading. And now you look row by row for parallel information, any holes, fill in the holes. And you really have to make sure that each row has more than just differences. Each row has to have bullets of similarity. Okay, help me with comparing traditional school, when you used to go to school, brick building, all right, and you go to school versus e-school, COVID school, all right, remote learning school, all right, and let's compare them for the physical spaces and the classes and the social opportunities. Okay, so traditional school, what's coming to mind? You had several classes, the bell rang, you went to different classes, you had assigned seats, right? You had a locker for your stuff, okay? The teacher would stand in front of the class and do the talking, right? You would have class conversations, maybe you had bell work, right? Socially, you had in-person conversations, right? In person on the bus, in the parking lot, in the hallway at lunch. You had sports and clubs, right? Okay, so we did all of traditional. Now, we're going to stop thinking about traditional school. That was text A. Now I want to go on to text B. So you stop thinking about A and you put all your energy into thinking about text B, in this case, e-school, for the same categories. You don't have assigned seats. Shoot, you're sitting on the bed, you're on the floor, you're on the couch, all right? You definitely don't have bells ringing every hour, all right? You don't have bell work, potentially, right? Because you don't have a bell ringing. The teacher is still communicating, but now via video or email or posting things on Canvas or Blackboard or whatever you're doing. Okay, socially, how does that work? Okay, you're still having conversations. It's just social media, right? It's Instagram and it's videos you're sending to each other. It's texts, it's FaceTiming, right? Okay, and your sports and clubs have all been canceled. Okay, so we've got this. Now, are we done? No. Why? What do we have to do? We have to look row by row. And what are we looking for? Yeah, we're looking for holes and we're looking to add information, but why? What kind of information do we need in every row? Similarities and differences. We've nailed the differences. All we've come up with so far are differences, but there are some similarities. We've got to think about those. Okay, so now let's look row by row. Okay, so locker, no locker, right? Personal belongings were in the locker. Where are your personal belongings now? All over the house, right? Okay, no assigned seats, right? You had an hourly schedule, bell ringing throughout the day, not tied to an hourly schedule. Switch rooms. Look, you said switch rooms. Are you in the same room of your house all day? No, you're not. You go from your bedroom to the kitchen to the living room. Yeah, you could add that in. It might not be tied to every hour, but you do have a similarity in that you do switch rooms still. Yeah. See how I had to push for that? I had to really think about that. All right, classes. As I look at classes here. All right, no bell work. Teacher is communicating via video. Bell work, teacher's talking to us. A lot of in-class conversations. I could add not many class conversations, but I need to think about similarities. Okay, what is similar about traditional school and e-school regarding your classes? Your teacher is still communicating with you, just in a different way. We could add that. You still have assignments. You're still doing the same units. You're still taking tests and quizzes. We could add those kinds of things. Yeah. Okay. In-person conversations, social media conversations. No meetings, you never see them, you always saw your teammates or your club members. Now they totally canceled them. Okay, now wait a minute. Are you never seeing the person's face? You're seeing your friend's face. How do you see it? It's not in person, but it's still face to face, right? FaceTime, right? Even video, you're still seeing their faces. So that is an a detail we could add. I am seeing their face. I'm seeing when they got their haircut. I'm seeing when they did this. I'm seeing when they, yeah. So you still have that. And some groups are still getting together digitally, right? Facebook Live or Zoom meetings. They might have some gatherings. Let's add something. Let's stop and just add something. Traditional school, when a friend had a birthday, what'd you do? Have a party, right? After school that weekend, have a party. Might decorate their car or their locker, right? You get them a gift. Okay, well, wait, are you telling me that you aren't recognizing your friends' birthdays? Yes, you are. How are you doing it? So you are still recognizing it. How are you doing it? Ring the doorbell, leave a gift on the front porch, and run away. Making videos, right? We're not getting together for parties, but we're still acknowledging birthdays, you guys. That is what I'm talking about. This kind of after reading thinking, this is when you really look for similarities because anybody can find differences between two different things. It's much harder for readers to demonstrate similarities. And that is why this is an after reading skill and where we really have to push for it. All right, if you were in Mrs. Smeckett's class, here's what I would ask you to do at this point. I would ask you to follow this same premise. And you're going to take a topic and you're going to tell me everything you know about it based on these categories. And then you're going to look at a second topic and everything you know about it based on the same categories. And then you're going to go row by row and you're going to really think about adding some similarities, checking for and adding similarities. I'm going to give you some choices. You can either compare two TV shows. Okay, for the categories in the middle. You choose the shows, 2 TV shows. Tell me which shows and compare them. Lots of bullets. Give me the details all for show A and all for show B based on those categories. If you don't want to do TV shows, maybe you want to pick 2 sports. Sport A, sport B. You pick sports. I don't care. But you have to do it for these 4 categories. And so I want you to do all of sport A, then do all of sport B. And you're not done after you fill out the 2 columns. No. Then you have to look row by row and make sure you have similarities for both. You might even underline the similarities. So you really make sure I didn't just talk about differences. You can do TV shows, you can do sports, or you can compare Snapchat to Instagram for the categories in the middle. I don't care. You can print out whichever page you want. If you have a printer, you can just grab a piece of paper and just do it and make it and write it out old school, paper and pencil, or I made them into Google Docs as well, Google Slides, so you could type right into them. But if you were in Mrs. Smeckett's class, you would be collecting information for topic A, collecting information for topic B, and then comparing them row by row and adding in similarities. Or your teacher might give you a better idea.